Today we're going to be taking the plane, the record equivalent number 4, 8-inch plane, and giving it a soak in a vinegar bath. This is not going to be a full restoration video, this is just a rejuvenation to make it a daily working hand plane, just for rough use. While I'm at it, I'm going to be cleaning up a crossbeam hammer that I picked up along with a multi-tool which has a claw hammer on the end and a little bit of rust, unfortunately. So we'll clean that up while we're at it. Make use of that vinegar bath and get it all done in one hit. So the first thing we'll do is remove the knobs, just removing the brass cap and then the threaded rod. The knob itself is in pretty good condition, so that'll just get a sand and a clean up. But the rest of the components will go in the vinegar bath to help loosen up the rust and remove it. The tote, same situation, it's in good condition. The blades, cap iron, lever cap, are a bit rusty. Frog was not too bad. It's underneath still got a lot of its red paint, so it's been protected. But all the components still go in the vinegar bath. The paint won't be affected by the vinegar bath, it'll only be the components that are raw metal. The base was in a bit of a poor state, so quick scrape down with a screwdriver and then throw that in. The knob there you can see sanded, looks a lot better, so we'll do the same thing to the tote, just giving it a sand. Won't try and get all of the stain off, so there will be patches of the old stain still there, but I just think that adds some character and shows that it's come from a historic life, not a brand new out of the box plane. I'm going to put some lacquer on them. Normally I'd probably use shellac, but I'm just going to lacquer these and wiping them down there just with some mineral spirits to get rid of any dust before I put some lacquer on them. I've got some aluminium rods from, or aluminium wire that's used for bonsai branch moulding. I've just chucked a couple of bits of that in some Irwin clamps, and they work really well to hold these components in place while they dry and prevent them from dripping all over the place or sticking to a surface. So if they stick to anything, it's going to be the plastic on the clamps of the Irwins, and the lacquer will just break away from that easy. As you can see, just a rough run over with lacquer, not trying to make it the prettiest job in the sun. And here we are, the vinegar's doing its job. You can see the rust reacting with the vinegar and bubbling up pretty solidly there. This is all a few hours later, probably about 3 hours after I initially put everything in the vinegar bath. The lacquer's dried enough that I can pick it up and touch it, just giving them a quick inspect to see that if there's anything further I need to do with them, and they're fine as is. But as you can see, they look pretty good in comparison to how they were previously, and they'll feel nice in the hands when using the plane. So the next thing is to get the wire brush and just give all the metal parts a bit of a brush down to knock any rust off. As you can see, the peen hammers come up reasonably well. The multi-tool also came up pretty well. The rust came out of that, not too bad. So that's now a usable tool. With the cap iron, as I was cleaning that, unfortunately the spring plate came off the back, so obviously it was broken through on the join. The rust had gone through just a bit too much, and with the acid bath of vinegar it had just taken off any integrity. So as soon as I hit it with the wire brush, it was a little bit too much force for it and it just snapped off. That's unfortunate, but it's not a major issue. The spring plate can be remade and replaced, but its only job is really to protect the cap iron from the lever cap ticking into it as you spring that lever down. It's not a major concern. That sort of thing happens after years and years and years of use, not within a week. So it can live without it quite effectively. Here we're just cleaning up that multi-tool, giving it a quick brush down. Now, normally I would wash these items in a bath of water and baking soda, and that neutralises the rust. Then I give it a rinse down, good dry, and then give it a coat in WD-40. Unfortunately, I ran out of baking soda, so I thought I'll just hit them with WD-40 and see if that was enough to disperse the vinegar and protect the metal. It turned out it wasn't enough in the end, and a lot of the bare metal parts started to turn black, which you will see on the side of the plane later on in the video. Here it's all the base of the plane is cleaned up reasonably okay. A lot of it was just grease and dust on it, with the on the top end, and a lot of rust underneath. There is a big divot there across the tail end of the base plate of the plane. That's not going to affect its ability to be used effectively. It's not much more than a scratch as far as when you're using the plane. If it was the length of the plane, it'd be a bit of a problem, but I'm not concerned about it. It is something, if I spent a lot more time grinding it down and surfacing the plane, it could be gotten rid of and the plane would still work fine. But it's not that much of a concern. I'd rather leave the flesh there of that base and have it a bit heavier. So just like cleaning up the odds and ends screws and washers. Tend to hold the wire brush and rub those components on the wire brush rather than the other way around. I just find it's easier that way. And there you can see they've all come up nice and shiny. Now if I wanted to polish those up, I'd hit them with the Dremel with a wire wheel and then buff them with some wax, but like I say, this is just a rejuvenation, not a restoration. We're not trying to make this look like a museum piece or brand new out of box. We're just trying to get it to a point where it's a pleasure to use as a rough plane. This is not going to be the final smoothing plane on any piece of work. It's just to remove rough bits of timber initially as I start to work it, knock the splinters off, get it to rough dimension. I've got other planes that I can do the finessing work with, so this one I'm not too concerned about getting it looking fantastic. Now the adjuster knob on the plane did cause me a problem down the track. I came back and checked on it. I'd thrown it into a shed after I put it all back together, and a week later I come out to use it, and unfortunately the adjuster knob had rusted onto that screw, so the adjuster knob couldn't be turned. I had to hit it with some heat to get it off and clean it up again. And of course all the other components where they'd gone black, I gave them a hit with sandpaper to knock the black off, give them another coat of WD-40, and that sorted the problem from there on. So that's the plane as it looks at the end. Unfortunately missing that one lever plate, but compared to what it was before, pretty happy with that outcome. You see the side of the plane there looks alright. Well, here it is later with sanding off the black and getting rid of a few of those divots that were left. Still leaving it with some divots that are deeper. Like I say, I'm not going to take it right back to as new, it's just rejuvenating, but I did want a surface that was a pleasure to work with and wasn't going to feel like I'm going to get dirty hands every time I picked it up, as I have obviously got right here. You can see as I clean up the base of the plate, those points where the rust dug in a bit deeper, they're not being hit by the sandpaper on the block. They would clean up though, like I say. If I wanted to take it further, this plate could be brought back to as new condition and given a really good shine. But as it's just a rough user, I'm not going to go to that extent on this occasion. I gave the blade a quick sharpen just on some sandpaper, but not scary sharp standard, just a quick rough sharpen. There's no way I'd be able to shave any hairs off my arm with that. They would just bend over. But just enough to give it a quick test. I'll sharpen it properly at a later stage. So here's an old, really old, hard, dry piece of oak from a window frame, still with the paint on, and with the plane only partially sharpened. Yeah, it's pushing through that okay. I'm not worried about what grain direction I'm hitting, but it's cutting through all right. So if I sharpen that blade up properly, that's going to cut through timber like butter, no problem, just like any of my other planes. So whether you collect or use, happy hunting.